श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्त्वन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You can just follow after me. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Varshishtante Vasat Rishiganaihi Avritam Brahmanishtaih. Vashishtante vasat rishiganai avritam brahmanishtai acharyendram karakalita chinmudramanandarupam acharyendram karakalita chinmudramanandarupam swatma ramam muditavadanam dakshinamurtimide swatma ramam muditavadanam Dakshinamurtimide Vatavitapi samipe bhumi bhage nishannam Vatavitapi samipe bhumi bhage nishannam Sakala muni jananam jnanadataram arat Sakala muni jananam jnana Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Chitram Vatataror Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Chitram Vatataror Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshaya Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshaya Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Gurave Sarvalokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gurave Sarvalokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Vishwandarpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Om Vishwandarpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivodbhutam yatha nidraya Pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivodbhutam yatha nidraya Yasakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanamevadvayam Yassākṣāt kurute prabodha samaye swātmānamevaddvayam Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bijasyantarivānkuro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Bijasyantarivānkaro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitrya Chitrikritam Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitrya Chitrikritam Maya Viva Vijrambhayatyapi Maha Yogi Vayasvechaya Maya Viva Vijrambhayatyapi Maha Yogi Vayasvechaya Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Yasyaiva Sphuranam Sadatmakam Asatkalparthakam Bhasate Yasyaiva Sphuranam Sadatmakam Asatkalparthakam Bhasate Sakshat Tattvamasiti Veda Vachasa Yo bodhayatyashritan Sakshat Tattvamasiti Veda Vachasa Yo bodhayatyashritan Yat sakshat karanad bhavenna punaravrittir bhavambho nidhau Yat sakshat karanad bhavenna punaravrittir bhavambho nidhau Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Nana Chitra Ghatodara Sthita Mahadipa Prabhabhaswaram Nana Chitra Ghatodara Sthita Mahadipa Prabhabhaswaram Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi karanadvara bahispandate Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi karanadvara bahispandate Janamiti tameva bhantamanubhatye tatsamastam jagat Bhantamanubhatye tatsamastam jagat Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Deham pranamapindriyanapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu Deham pranamapindriyanapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu Stri balanda jadopamastvahamiti bhranta bhrisham vadinaha Stri balanda jadopamastvahamiti Bhranta Bhisham Vadinaha Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Mahavyamoha Samharine Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Mahavyamoha Samharine Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. One interesting thing, according to the tradition, the Dakshinamurti Stotram is divided into two segments. One is the first five and the other one is the last five. And so I remember that I read that recently somewhere and I remembered it. So what happens is that you start with the Dhyana Shloka, which is, the the ones that we do before, all the ones from Mauna Vyakhyana, etc. Then you do the first 5 shlokas of Dakshinamurti Stotram. Then you study the main text that you're doing. At the end of the text, then you do the last 5. So I think we'll continue with that tradition once we start doing the last 5. Let's get a good, I think you're close to getting a good handle on the pronunciation of the first 5. And then we will switch over to the second 5. And then after that, we will do this after some time, where we'll do the first 5, then the Dakshinamurti Stotram text, and then do the last 5. So I thought I'd mention that. Okay. So one thing I had recommended in the last class was that if possible, you should go over the stanzas which is verse number, the Karika, the first verse of the Dakshinamurti Stotram, and then the Manasa Ullasa number 4, 5, and 6. And 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah. So these were the questions from the standpoint of an informed student, an intelligent student, not one who is just starting to study, but one who has been struggling for a while but still has some doubts and so on. So an advanced student. So these are the 4 important questions that we should keep in our mind as though they are our question. And they may be your question, but in case they are not, they should become your question. So as part of that, there was a question on verse number 5 that is relevant to what we are studying today. And that's given in the English book on page number 3. And on the Hindi book, I don't know which one it is, but you can see that. This is Manasa Ullasa number 5. Kim teshu teshu va artheshu, kim va sarvatmani ishvare, ishvaratvam cha jivatvam, sarvatmatvam cha kidrisham. So, the first one was, the first question was number 4, Asti prakashate iti vyavahara pravartate taccha astitvam prakashatvam kasmin arthe pratishtitam. So the question there was, prior to this number 5, that we find in our experience that things exist and they also appear to us. So table is, floor is, and people are. This is astitvam. If they are not there, then there is no astitvam. If they are there, then there is astitvam for them, and also that they appear in our consciousness. So both the isness as well as the appearance is one of our experience for things. Excuse me. So the question is, this astitvam and prakashatvam, where does it reside? Does it reside in the things themselves as they appear to? Or they reside someplace else and they appear to be someplace else. They reside in one place else, but the appearance appears at a completely different place altogether. Is that possibility? And believe it or not, that is the real stuff. The astitvam, and in fact, the continuation of this question on number 5 is this astitvam and prakashitvam kasmin arthe pratishthitam kim teshu va artheshu kim va sarvatmani ishvare. Do they astitvam belong to the things themselves, or do they belong to Ishvara? And also this Ishvara and Jivatvam, what is the difference? And also, and this is the one that we are, to pay attention to this last one, Sarvatmatvam cha kidrisham. Sarvatmatvam kidrisham means that this is where the experience of the experienced student comes in, is to say that the Shastra says that the Ishvara is the Atma of everybody. Sarvatmatvam. And I hear that, but what is it really? Kidrisham here means of what, how is that possible? Kidrisham means how, what, in what way? When you say that the Ishvara is the Atma of everyone, it looks like just a statement. But I don't get it. How can that be? You want me to just believe it and not inquire into it? Or is there some truth to it that you can explain to me? This is his question. That question is being answered in what we are studying. So we are doing verse number 19, which we did last time, and a few more, which we will do today. And all of this is an answer to the question, Sarvatmatvam cha kidrisham. In other words, when you say that the Ishvara is the Atma of everyone, how? Can you explain that to me? And so that explanation is being given in the Manasa Ullasa in number 19 through 21, 22, 23, somewhere. It's a kind of like a, 4 or 5 of them that combined together give this answer. And we started to look into that from last time. And in order to show how the Sarvatmatvam actually is, the example of the sun is given. Because the nature of an example is that the example should be understandable. What is exemplified may not be understandable, but at least I should. So the example, if the example itself is not understandable, then it's not an example. An example means something that I can grasp. Yes, this I can see. Then how that example is now projected to what is exemplified is the connection. So the example given here is that of the sun, which we saw last time, but just some more commentary on it. And so if we now go, I'm going to go into the Hindi book, page number 28, because the English book doesn't have any explanations. It just gives the translation of the verse itself. The commentary itself is provided by Swami Maheshananji, which I am now translating in English for you, but it is not given in the English book itself. So in the explanation of the sun as an example, where Sarvatmatvam can be appreciated, number 19 is now given. The 19 says, Mega channaha amshumali iva mayaya mohitak adikam kinchit karta cha kinchit gyaha lakshyate parameshwaraha. So there it was pointed out, and I'll just, I won't completely explain it because we started doing that last week, but I revise it. So it was pointed out that please look that the sun and its ability to light up through its rays. You see, what really lights up are the rays of the sun, are really one and the same. You cannot separate them. Like Einstein also pointed out in his book that, and this is our common experience also, that when the sun goes, then the rays are not left behind. If we find that the sun is gone, but the rays are left behind, that means that they are separate individuals, separate entities. But that's not the case. Now, all that happens is when the sun goes down in the horizon, through the refraction of the particles from the sunlight, there is some reflected sunlight still available, even though you don't see the sun. So this is why, for example, the laws of the different countries, in this country also, apparently you don't have to turn the headlights on for, I believe, half hour after the sun goes down. And you don't have to turn it on for half hour before the sun comes up. That I'm less sure of, but the evening one is for sure. And so oftentimes I find myself playing silly games with myself. I'm out there doing some errands or just, having dinner with my wife or something, and the sun has gone down. And I find that there is enough light for me to see, and I don't want to turn my headlights on. So my wife will tell me, hey, everybody else is turning them on, why don't you? I said, no, I want to see whether I reach home within the half hour, because I'm still within the legal limits, and I don't want to just turn it on. Let me see if I can do it. And usually I can get home before it happens. So there it says that the sun and its rays are one and the same. Even though you may be able to see the rays in some cases, like for example, supposing there is a hole in the window, or the window is open, the curtains are not drawn, then you can actually see the sun rays very clearly. Especially if there's a smoke or something, you can see how the rays are penetrating. You can visibly see the rays. But the rays, even though they are millions of miles away from the sun, this whole light thing is just, I can just think about this for hours and appreciate it and still not understand it. How light travels so far away. What a beautiful creation Ishvara has made. How the light travels and penetrates the darkness and lights up things. What a creation. And so even if the rays are not seen and the sun has set, but the rays cannot be separated from the sun. It is all part of the same sun. And so therefore, the light which is lighting up things, the ability to light up things only comes from the sun, not from anything else. And the only thing that we can do in our modern physics is that we can store the energy in the form of electricity and have the electricity light up some things. But the electric lighting capability also comes from the sun alone. Not only that, Swami Maheshananji points out that the clouds are born from water. And the water is born from the heat of the sun. In fact, this is what happens, that whenever you have a very hot summer, then the monsoon season will be more. There'll be more evaporation, more moisture. This is what happens in Arizona when we had this tragedy recently. And there was a hole where people were just bathing. They didn't realize that in Arizona, because of the heat, the rains also are very plentiful, and sometimes it can just completely inundate. There's so much water that falls in. So Swamiji pointed out that really, so look at this. The sun creates the water, and the water creates the vapor, and the vapor can hide its own nature. You can see the sun has been completely hidden. And also from the water and from the sun, wind is born, from where it scatters the clouds and reveals the sun. It's all done by the sun, which is the very machinery, the very source of everything that it does. So the only thing that happens is that either the sun directly lights things up, or it indirectly lights things up. When it indirectly lights things up, the intensity of the sunlight is not as much. Like, for example, when it is hidden by the sun, by the clouds. On a cloudy day, you can still see something, not as clearly. So keep this an analogy in mind. So what it says is that the only source of light in the whole creation is the sun. And I mean, if you extend that, it's not given in here. If you extend that, the entire galaxy is based on the various suns, which is really the same, same Ishvara that creates the various suns. And so if the sunlight cannot go to another galaxy altogether, they need to have their own sun. But the self-lightingness of the sun is a very important thing which we are going to talk about in a minute. So it reveals, it does not need anyone else to shine the sun. The sun shines by itself. And it is at the very source of all light in the universe. Okay, so far, this is the example. This is the example that we can relate to. Now we see the exemplification. What is it exemplifies? In the same way, now comes the next one. So if you look at the second line of verse number 19, Kinchit karta cha kinchit gyaha lakshyate parameshwaraha. So what is said is that in the whole creation, you find there are two main phenomena that occur. One is knowing, and the other one is doing. So this is what is called Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. So what you find is that every living being, every pranadhari, everyone that has Sukshma Sharira possesses these two qualities. Whether it is animals, even the plant kingdom also has the same thing, where in a very, very small way. So if you look at the sunflower knows that it is time to be sensitive to the sun, and it follows the sun, so it does something. It has a very interesting twist to its body that it follows the sun. Similarly, the plants also, they all know that now it is time to bloom, and they make some changes in a very small way. Animals are much more. Animals can see that sun has come up, so they know it, and then they have to do something. So both of doing and knowing are endemic common to everybody. So now the question is, this is where we have to really think. This knowing and doing things, does it belong individually to people? or does it belong to Ishvara? This is the thing. So what you find is that that people who are, in fact, it's interesting, if you want to test whether the person is alive or not, you can check whether there is breathing going on. And then you also find, is the mind, and sometimes the mind is not functioning, but the breathing is going on. Or the mind also is functioning. This is an absolute sign that the person is alive. So the person is thinking, the person is breathing. Does the breathing and the thinking belong to this person or not? And the answer that we should follow with explanation is it belongs to Ishvara. It belongs to Ishvara, just like all sources of light belongs to the sun. You don't have an independent source of light other than the sun. Similarly, there is no independent source of knowing and doing other than Ishvara. And really speaking, so what happens is that you now have two kinds of coverings, if you may. Two kinds of upadhi. Two kinds of upadhi. One is what is called Shuddha Sattva upadhi. Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means a direct knowing by directly lighting by the sun. Very bright and no obstruction to it. This is the upadhi of Ishvara. The other one is what is called Malina Sattva upadhi. Malina Sattva means it is mixed up with other things, with the other gunas, with the rajoguna and tamoguna. So the mixing up of the others, called Malina Sattva upadhi, is like the light which is obstructed by a cloud. And what this means is that the light which is obstructed by the cloud is still the sun's light, even though it has been obstructed. It's obstructed sun's life and sunlight. So the Malina Sattva So this is the meaning of the second line of the verse 19. So he says, Kinchit karta cha kinchit jnaha lakshate parameshwaraha. He says that limited nature of knowing and limited nature of doing, and both of these will be taken up in more detail separately, the knowing and doing, in the next few verses of Manasa Ullasa. But at this point in time, we are proceeding one step at a time, that the ability to know and the ability to do does not belong to the individuals. All the individual does is to have different forms of cloudiness. Like, for example, supposing there is a very dark cloud, it can be such that you can have a hard time reading a book during the daylight. It'll be that dark. In fact, that happens in our houses, that if there is a very dark cloud, then you have to turn the light on. You cannot even read. Similarly, it's very possible that some people are very bright and their thinking ability is very good and their ability to do things is very good. Others are not so good. They are dull. They can't think very well. So it all depends upon the upadhi of the jiva. How much it obstructs the basic jnanam and kartritvam of Ishvara. But it is the same kartritvam and knowingness of the Ishvara. Just like the sun is the only source. That I am, that thought, is interesting that you find that I don't think that I am, that when you say I am, and I know, and I do, it appears that all it is mine. When in fact, it is Ishvara's. And all I'm doing is, I am modulating it a little bit, just like a cloud can modulate the light of the sun. But it does not create its own. It is not a separate source. It's the same source. So the whole consciousness and the jnanam, etc., it all belongs to Ishvara. And all we can do is to change it a little bit in terms to suit my karma and what I do and how bright I am and so on and so forth. So this answers the question, sarvatmatvam cha kidrisham. Sarvatmatvam cha kidrisham. How is Ishvara the Atma of everyone? It is the Atma of everyone because the ability to know and the ability to do, both of them are given to you. Are given to you. And our parents also did not create it. It is really, and it never goes. All that happens is that it gets modified in one direction or the other. Like in the case of the deep sleep, your ability to know disappears because your mind disappears. So the very makeup of the mind changes your ability to know, and your education, and your ability to focus. And all of those things you can do, but the very consciousness, which is the nature of I know. Just look at the knowledge part of it. The karma we will take up later on. So just looking at the jnanam is always there. See this. Not as though, it's interesting if you look at it this way. You are moving in the jnanam. If it's not as though that if you are here, you have jnanam in it, and then you move over here, you have a different jnanam. It is the same jnanam. And all you're doing is moving within the jnanam. And even when you are born within the jnanam. When you as a person, you and I die, the jnanam doesn't die. The consciousness never dies. Because the whole creation is made up of consciousness. So sarvatmatvam kidasham is now described in number 19, starting with number 19. And then this is, we'll continue with this a little bit more, but some different aspects are given in here. Number 20, let's do this. Number 20, there in the Hindi book, the numbering system is all screwed up. Then after 20 comes 14. And then anyway, so it doesn't matter. On the 20, let's look at the English book. Yeah, let's just pronounce 20 and 3 or 4 other together. And then we will explain it together. Yat, number 20. Yat yat karoti janati. Yat yat karoti janati. Tasmin tasmin parameshwaraha. Tasmin tasmin parameshwaraha. Raja vidwan swasamarthyat. Raja vidwan swasamarthyat. Ishvaro yamitiryate. Ishvaro yamitiryate. Then next one. Jnana kriye shive naikyat. Jnana kriye shive naikyat. Samkrante sarvajantushu. Samkrante sarvajantushu. Ishvaratvam cha jivanam. Ishvaratvam cha jivanam. Siddham tat shakti sangamat. Siddham tat shakti sangamat. Ayanghato yam pataha. Ayanghato yam pataha. Ityevan nana pratitishu. Ityevan nana pratishu. Arka prabhave svagyanam. Sorry. Arka prabheva. Sorry. Arka prabheva svagyanam. Arka prabheva svagyanam. Swayameva prakashate. Swayameva prakashate. So Arka prabha iva. So it becomes Arka prabheva. Swagyanam swayameva prakashate. So very quickly let's look at the English translation and then we'll spend some time understanding what it means. So Yat yat karoti janati tasmin tasmin parameshwaraha raja vidwan swasamarthyat ishwaraha ayamiti iryate. Iryate means it is said. What is said? Yat yat karoti janati. Whenever one does or knows a thing independently by one's own power, then that Parameshwara is said to be a king, a sage, a lord. Okay, so we'll come back to it. Just a very quick explanation of that. What he's saying is that when you say he is a lord, I think we went over this in the last class also. He is a lord, he is a Parameshwara, he is a king. So what that means is that the king has the ability to not depend on it on anything. He can do anything he wants to. This is what is called Parameshwara. So he says that the word Parameshwara signifies an independent ability to do and know things. That's all. It's just an explanation, this is just a definition. We'll come back to it. Then, Ishvara is the self in all. This is what we were discussing earlier. Sarvatmatvam ka kidrisham. Jnana kriye shivena aikyat sankrante sarvajantushu ishvaratvam cha jivanam siddham tat shakti sangamat. This is what we were trying to see before. All jivas are endued with intelligence and activity because they are one with Shiva. Shiva here means Parameshwara, Ishvara. Because jivas are endued with the powers of Ishvara, we may conclude that they are identical with Ishvara. In other words, the light that you see all belongs to the sun. There's not an independent another sun. There's only one. So similarly here also, the ability to know and to think and to do, it all comes up from Ishvara alone. In that manner, the jiva does not have an independent identity. Actually, we do have an independent identity, wrongly. We some feel that I know this. But really all it is just a modification of Ishvara's ability to know. That's all. It is not an independent one. And in fact, until I really think about it and practice it and becomes a reality for me, I don't even bring Ishvara into my life. What have you got to do with it? I have to know, I have to take care of my life and so on. This is the independent identity which is totally wrong. Being, you can almost like picture a board here. So the board, supposing the board, whiteboard, the whiteness of the board represents the ability to know and do by Ishvara. And you draw a small picture of a human being right here, which is on top of the basic. Supposing I don't have a chalk, but you draw a kind of like a silhouette, just a head and so on and so forth. But inside, what you see is whiteness. That whiteness is not it is the board's whiteness. You see, it's the board's whiteness, which is Ishvara's whiteness. And so it's not as though the figure you drew has now become its own knowingness or anything like that. Silliness. And so really it is very strange that we don't even inquire into it. And so really that's what it's saying, that all jivas jnana kriye shivena aikyat sankramte sarva jantushu ishvarantam jivanam siddham tat shakti sangamat. So that another thing, Shakti Sangamat, so another thing that Swami Maheshananji has pointed out, that the Shakti always resides in the Shaktiman. The one who has a Shakti is the very content of the Shakti. So, for example, somebody will say, this person is very strong. So the strength of a person is not separate from the person. Now it is possible that the person may not be stuck with the strength. Like supposing there is a big boxer, he's the world's strongest heavyweight boxer. And he's heavily paid for that. Now, he doesn't have to keep on showing his to everyone. When he's talking to, supposing he has a small baby, he's handling the baby in a very gingerly fashion. But his ability is not separate from him, but he can be separate from the ability. But anyway, that's a separate thing. But if any ability must reside in the person. And the person has to be alive. There is no such thing as a dead ability of a dead person. And so the Shakti must belong to the Shaktiman. Now the question is, who is the Shaktiman? So supposing you have certain ability, supposing you have some strength, supposing you are a heavyweight champion, you can knock people out and so on. Now the question is, who does that belong to? Everybody will say, wow, this belongs to this gentleman. It belongs to Ishvara. It belongs to Ishvara. And why does it belong to Ishvara? Because all that person has done is to modulate the Shakti of Ishvara in his frame. He has practiced. I see these people. Oh my goodness, you should come with me sometimes to see this, our Equinox workout place. Oh my God, the muscles that some of the people have. And then their dresses are also appropriate. So what they do is, they don't wear full-sleeved things or something like this. There's hardly a couple of things here and there, and the women have a couple of smallest bras possible. The rest of, there's this woman, I'm telling you, her muscles, and she works so hard. I sometimes really want to talk to her. Why do you do this? You know, but she has gotten into her head. I mean, she's a tiny little thing. She's like 5'4" or so, very, very petite and so on. But her muscles, oh my God, I hope I never have a fight with her. She will knock me down. So, but she's very happy with that. You know, that's her Shakti. So the Shakti belongs to the person, and the person, all that does is to modulate the inherent Shakti which is there within you, which is already there. Then you develop the muscles and you try hard. You know, honestly, I need to write a book about this. There are people that spend 3 hours every day developing their muscles. And I want to ask them, why? Why are you doing this? There was, I think I told you this story that one time Swami Dayanandaji was talking to somebody, and so Swamiji says, you know, what are you, how are you, what do you do? He says, well, I am a doctor, but my passion is long distance running. So he says, how much do you run? He says, well, I go for these marathons once or twice a year, but then I practice. So he says, how much do you, I remember I was sitting there watching this, you know, hearing this talk going on. And he said, Swamiji, I practice sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on. So Swamiji was very polite, but he was also somewhat persistent. He says, well, so what, why are you doing all of this? So he says, Swamiji, I will live a lot longer. I'll be very healthy. So Swamiji's mind was calculating. He didn't say anything. Later on, to a couple of his people, he said, you know, this is the silliest thing. So how much is he going to live longer? Maybe a couple of years, maybe 3 years, who knows? But he is spending 6 years worth of exercising to increase 2 years worth of law. Is this foolishness or what? Anyway, so the Shakti. So now, just look at this. This is an important thing to see. The Shakti, any Shakti, Shakti of knowing, Shakti of doing, of accomplishing, all these are Shaktis. These are all powers. All the power resides in a conscious entity, non-separate from a conscious entity. And the conscious entity is non-separate from Ishvara. There's only one conscious entity. Just like there's only one sunlight, therefore there is only one conscious entity. And so that belongs to Ishvara. And in my foolishness, I think that it belongs to me. I am the one that worked hard. I am the one that is developing these muscles. I'm the one who's doing this and the other. And which you are. But really there is a big difference between, you know, just modulating some things and also just creating it. And I think the example of electricity in an appliance is a very beautiful one. I think we should really think about that. In fact, I was thinking about this. The Shakti of an appliance comes from the Shakti in the electricity. In fact, this is why it is called power. It's called power. You know, sometimes in fact in India we used to say that, we don't say electricity is gone, it says power is off. Power is off. We don't see that word being used here. Well, it's the same thing, it's just a usage. But the power to light up things, to cool and to heat up, comes from the electricity. And then all the appliance does is to make use of that power in one form or the other. And sometimes the power can be expressed more, just like you have, you know, a 150 watt bulb and very bright, or you have a 40 watt bulb which is not very bright. So it simply modulates the power, but the power always belongs to the electricity. So therefore now the answer to Sarvatmatvam Chakidrisham hopefully is now answered. The reason that we can say that Ishvara is the Sarvatma is because really all Shakti, all possibilities belong to Ishvara alone. This is why there was I think one of the people here perhaps, or somebody had asked the question about, and I think might have been Vaidehi, I'm not sure, that we are all parts of Ishvara. This is where the parts of Ishvara does not make sense, because the part is from bottoms up. And so I answered the question about aspect of Ishvara, or aspect of something. So that's a better way to look at it, because as we were discussing in this context, the appliances and the indirect light are simply aspects of the sun or the electricity. So here, the samashti comes first and the vyashti comes second. It's not as though the samashti is a result of vyashtis or individual parts. This has to be very clearly understood. It's a very beautiful creation, really speaking. As you know, when I first started thinking about it, it really hit me that, for example, the very beautiful love of a mother is only possible. How come all the mothers are alike in their emotions, in their forgiveness, in their patience towards the children? So beautiful to see that. Their love, their continued affection throughout the life. How? Is it all done individually? No. It is just done as an aspect of Ishvara. And as soon as there is a person born as a female and becomes a mother, that peculiar love just expresses itself. It's not reinvented. No. So this is why, by just thinking about all this, the presence and the very nature of Ishvara, our relationship with the Jiva and the Ishvara becomes clearer. That I go around just sort of, just hyping up my own individuality. And I don't think about the fact that really all I am is just a small modulator of the identity of Ishvara. So that's what's being attempted to explain through these words. And in number 22, we have already done the number 21. Numbers 22, Ayam ghataha, Ayam pataha, iti evam nana pratitishu arka prabha iva swagyanam swayameva prakashate. So a new thought is now being introduced. What is the new thought? So there are two thoughts in this sentence. One we have already covered, which is that ayam ghataha, ayam pataha, ityevam nana pratitishu, all these various external cognitions of external objects, which is the same. It belongs to Ishvara. So this aspect we have already covered. Now a new aspect is being presented here, which is Swayameva prakashate. This is an important thing to see. And in fact, there are two things I want to see. I don't know if I'll have time to go to the other one, which is also very important. But anyway, let's just cover it one by one. So the other aspect in this is the self, the ability to do without depending on anything else is called Swayameva prakashate. You see, there are two things being said here. So let me explain so that you are together, you're with me on this. One is that all the abilities that are seen to be individualized really belong to one source. This is what we've been explaining. Okay, so hopefully you're okay with that. The second thing that is being talked about is that this one source, which is the very source of all the other appearances, is self-luminous. It's a different point. Because you can say that, okay, everything belongs to it. It's a modification of the one source. But perhaps that one source also is made up of something else. No. That one source from which all the other apparent sources come from is independent and self-existing and self-luminous. This is the point that is now being talked about here. How? How can you say that? So this is the line of inquiry which is now being presented, and let's go to the next one. Number 23. Jnanam cha chet swayam siddham jagat, jnanam na chet swayam siddham jagat andham tamo bhavet na chet asya kriya kachit vyavaharaha katham bhavet. Okay? So in this one, again two things are pointed out. One which is jnanam, and the other one is kriya. So one is jnana shakti, the other one is kriya shakti, as we said that originally. So with this first line of the verse number 23, the jnana shakti is now being summarized. That will be finished. And from the second line of the number 23, kriya shakti will be taken up, which we will do next time. We won't do that today. But in the first line, it summarizes the point of swayameva prakashate. The swayam prakashanam is now pointed out. And how does it point it out? It says, he says, jnanam na chet swayam siddham. If the consciousness were not self-manifested, then the universe would become blind darkness. Okay? So this is the thing. To understand this, here is what needs to be thought about. Is the jnanam a swarupam of the Atma or a quality of the Atma? Knowledge. Knowledge means awareness. As you know, we have talked about this in other classes also. This is a very important thing. That the whole life functions with an overlay of I know. In and through all our experiences, no experience is possible without I know. I know. So this I knownness, jnanam, it's called jnanam or consciousness, samvit. There are different words used for that, samvit or jnanam. Let's just use the word jnanam. Is this jnanam? So there are two things involved. See, when you say I know, there are two things. One is I and the other one is know. I have knowledge. I know means I have knowledge. Not the kriya that I am knowing, I'm trying to understand. No, I know. So my knowledge, I and my knowledge, are they two separate things or not? Because really what reveals things is knowledge. In fact, you cannot do any transaction with things that are non-existent. And how do you know that the thing exists so that you can transact? Through your knowledge. Knowledge means that your mind and through your sense organs, knowledge comes to you. And you say, yes, I know. This is how you are able to function, do different things and so on. This knowledge, is that your quality? Is that your guna? Or is it the very nature of the Atma? This is the question. Two possibilities. One is that I am the same as knowledge. The other one is that I am something which has the ability to know as my quality, guna. Which one is it? So there it is pointed out, it has to be your swarupa. It cannot be your guna. Because, why can't it be my guna? Because if you are not knowledge, that means, you see, this is the thing. So now let's go through a very interesting, this is given in the Hindi book in great detail. Same logic is given in a lot of different texts. So in fact, I will point out where this is. This is page number 33. Page number 33, where it says, Jnanam chachet swayam siddham jagat andha tamo bhavet. So there it is said that suppose the Atma is not knowledge. So one has to ask, is the Atma different from knowledge, or is it the same as knowledge? So there are two entities. So one is Atma, which is Atma means me. When you say me, this is Atma. And then you also have the experience, I know. This is knowledge, jnanam. So there are two entities, you and the jnanam. So the question is, you, is it different from the knowledge, or is it the same as knowledge? Suppose you say it is different from the knowledge. All right, let's just follow that tree. We say it is different from knowledge. That means, is the Atma similar to the knowledge, or is it different from the knowledge? And you have to say, if it is, this is what is called bhinna abhinna. Bhinna means different and abhinna means not different. So if it is non-different, then you might as well be knowledge. So what is the big deal? If it is different, then how can non-knowledge say this is my knowledge? It is like having a table saying this is a person. Can't do that. And so you say, no, maybe I'm not different from it, but there is someone else that shows that I am Atma. Who is that person? Well, that is someone that is a different one from this knowledge. Again, the same, this is what is called chakra. You're going in circles. And Swami Dayanand, we spent so much time understanding this. Swami Dayanand was very clear about this. He said, you know what will happen? What will happen is that when you see someone, then some recognition comes. Who is recognizing? He says, I'm not sure who this recognizes. Let me ask the person, are you aware of the fact that I'm recognizing it? He says, no, I am, but let me ask another person. This will go on forever. There'll be no recognition, no nothing, no vyavahara, no nothing. So he says he used to use this was clinched vyavahara. So the clinched vyavahara means that immediately we know how to think, how to do transactions and so on. Only possible if the Atma and the Jnanam are one and the same. So this is what he's saying. Jnanam na chet swayam siddham jagat andham tamo bhavet. If you really think through this and if you're not clear about it, then continue to investigate until you are absolutely certain that the very design of the world will not be functional if the Atma and Jnanam are not one and the same. Cannot be done. So therefore, swayameva prakashate. Arka prabha iva svajnanam swayameva prakashate. Okay, so it means that so there now we can say that all knowledge is the source of all knowledge is Ishvara alone. We only just have a minor role in modulating it. That's it, number one. And the knowledge of Ishvara, which is my knowledge also. You see, it is the same as my knowledge. So when the cloud hides the sun and diminishes the light, it is still the sunlight. It's not as though the sun has now disappeared and the cloud is creating its own light. No. It is simply diminished sunlight. So the human mind also is just a diminished Ishvara's creation. That's all. That is the first thing that was pointed out. That sarvatmatvam cha kidrisham. The second thing that was pointed out is that Ishvara's jnanam, which is nothing but my jnanam, because the Atma is the same, is self-existing and self-knowing. It is not a property. In fact, it is the very nature of the Atma. Because otherwise the whole thing will not function. And then I was hoping to tell you about something else related to this. very important, and it really I didn't have an answer to this. I didn't understand this quite late, which is very important to know. In this whole sphere, the self-luminosity, it has to do with self-luminosity, but it has a big topic by itself, and I was hoping I'll get to it, but I think I better postpone it to next week. And it is pointed out in the Kena Upanishad. And so I brought this. I was going to actually go over 2 or 3 verses from Kena Upanishad. This very concept that I was going to take up. So I think we'll postpone it to next week, and we will go into that. And if you have a copy of the Kena Upanishad, please bring it with you. You can even go to the internet and just, in fact, I'll tell you what verses you can get from there. This is the very important one, really. And it just had me flummoxed for a long time. And even I somehow my dialogue with Swami Dayanandji also did not clear it. It really became clear when I started reading this content of this thing with Swami Maheshanandji. So this is the second chapter, the very second chapter, Dvitiya Khandaha, and verse number 1. Number 2 and number 3. Second Khanda, first 3 verses. Go through this very, I think it's a very beautiful thing, and I finally became very clear about this, and that makes a big difference in the understanding of the self. So instead of rushing it, we'll wait until the next class, and I'll make a note of it. We'll quickly revise what we did before, and kindly get into the habit of really revising the previous class so that it becomes very fresh in your mind, and then we can both race together into the next segment from it. So that we will do next time. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let's do this. Let's get into the habit of taking one verse and one at a time, learning to chant it from the Dakshinamurti Stotram. So go to verse number 6 of Dakshinamurti Stotram, and then one at a time we will do all 5, so we'll speed up. So you can just, if you have it, you have all verse number 6, so you can just follow after me. We'll do half a line each. Rahu grasta divankarendu sadrishaha. Rahu grasta divankarendu sadrishaha. Rahu grasta divankarendu sadrishaha. Rahu grasta divankarendu sadrishaha. Maya samachhadanat. Maya samachhadanat. Maya samachhadanat. Maya samachhadanat. Rahu grasta divankarendru sadisho. Maya samachhadanat. Rahu grasta divankarendru sadrisho. Maya samachhadanat. A slight pause, even when you're reading the whole line. It will be something like this. Rahu grasta divankarendu sadrisho. Maya samachadinat, like that. Then the second one, Sanmatrah karanopasamharnataha. Sanmatrah karanopasamharnataha. Sanmatrah karanopasamharnataha. Sanmatrah karanopasamharnataha. Yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Sanmatrah karanopasamharnato. Yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Sanmatrah karanopasamharnato. Yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Pragaswapsvamiti prabodha samaye. Pragaswapsvamiti prabodha samaye. Pragaswapsvamiti prabodha samaye. Pragaswapsvamiti prabodha samaye. Yaf pratyabhigyayate. Yaf pratyabhigyayate. Yaf pratyabhigyayate. Yaf pratyabhigyayate. Pragaswapsamiti prabodha samaye. Yaf pratyabhigyayate. Pragaswapsamiti prabodha samaye. Yaf pratyabhigyayate. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So I think like that we will do one verse at a time until we become familiar with it. Yeah.
You talked about two coverings. I didn't get the first one. The two upadhis.
So one is Shuddha Sattva Upadhi, and the other one is called Malina Sattva Upadhi.
So the Shuddha Sattva Upadhi, is that the...
So the Shuddha Sattva Upadhi is kind of like, supposing there is a magic show going on. I think that's the best way to really understand that. So in the magic show, where supposing there is some magician that, especially, it's interesting, you take the aid of someone sitting there and he says, can someone please come here? And everybody's saying, oh my God, what is he going to do to me? So you bring somebody here and then you do some things, you cut that person into half, or you make them disappear or something. So in the magic show, there are two types of people involved. One is the magician, who is an expert in creating magic. And the other one, who is a participant in the magic show but doesn't understand how it's done. So there, the magician is called Shuddha Sattva Upadhi 1. And the person who is under the spell of the magic and doesn't understand is called Malina Sattva Upadhi 1. So both of them are participants. In fact, you cannot show the magic to, supposing you go to a magic show and you keep your eyes closed. And in fact, this is what happens sometimes, this, what is it called? When you, what's the, hypnotize, thank you. When you try to, this is what's happening to me, honestly. Words are not coming anymore, which is okay with me. Okay, this is normal. This is very normal. I'm not upset by that, but it is really interesting.
Don't use it.
Use it, yeah, absolutely. Even if you use it, you still lose it. That's the problem. So, in the case of hypnotism, supposing you go in with the feeling, I am not going to be hypnotized and I'm going to keep my eyes closed. You cannot be hypnotized. You cannot be hypnotized. But if you are just open to be hypnotized, then the play of hypnosis, where the person who is hypnotizing you and the person who is being hypnotized have both the similar roles. One knows how to hypnotize, that is the Shuddha Sattva. And the other one is, that is the Parameshwara, who is an independent, who knows how to do it. Whereas the one who is under the spell of the hypnosis is Malina Sattva.
Why call it Upadhi?
So Upadhi means that even in the case of Ishvara, it is not something which is a quality of Brahman. It is just a Shakti. So just like the example I gave of the heavyweight champion, the Shakti is not the Swarupa of that person. It's a Shakti that he can use if he wants to. But he's not going to knock out a baby. He won't use the Shakti for that. So the Brahman or the Atma is the Swarupa of the Jnanam. And the Shakti is that of the Ishvara that can create. And he doesn't want to create, he doesn't want to create. But he can create if he wants to. So that's why it is the Upadhi. And the Upadhi that he uses to create is the magic, is the Leela. And so that's why it is called an Upadhi. So the Brahman is it's like the water. Ocean is the Upadhi, but the water is not an Upadhi. And the water is the common for both a wave as well as the whole ocean. But the ocean is an Upadhi. It's a creation. Yeah. Yeah.
We use several times the term that there is a minor modulator.
Yes.
Doesn't that ability come from Ishvara
Also, yes, of course. But what happens there is that the Ishvara, even though it comes from Ishvara, he allows you the independence of how you want to modulate it. This is where the karma comes in. So this is why, for example, when you have a mass murder and all those kinds of things, it is not Ishvara's doing. It is the individual doing of individuals from their past karmas that is doing it. And of course, the law of how the karma phala is given is all designed by Ishvara, but the choice is completely ours. And a person who is gets very badly hit by a criminality or something, may have done something in the past, we don't know, because nothing is really an accident in that sense. So yes, it is, even though it is the Ishvara's eventually, but the ability to modulate comes from us. Yeah.
Second question. The inanimate objects are also part of Ishvara.
Correct.
So where is the
inanimate?
Shakti?
So the fact is that there, as part of this creation, you do not have the reflective power of the Jnana Shakti and the Kriya Shakti in inanimate objects. Very much like in a dream. So in a dream, you have an agenda where you are fighting with someone and that person is fighting with you, and so you're having words with each other, and both of you are sitting on a chair. And so the chair is an inanimate object in the dream, but it is really not inanimate because it is also your consciousness which is there as an inanimate thing. So there also, these are just props. So it doesn't mean that they are not part of Ishvara, but the reflective power of the Sukshma Sharira is not given to them. That's all. Yeah.
The natural calamities are whose karmas are coming to effect?
So that could be some common karmas of lots of people. So they're all individualized. There's no such thing as a national karma. But in the sense that in the creation of this whole thing, it might be that supposing there are 5,000 people have done a similar kind of problem, then those are grouped together as part of the country, and then everybody suffers. So it becomes like a mass karma phala. But it's all individualized. There's no jiva other than the individual jiva. The country does not have a jivatvam as such, no. But it's a convenience for putting everybody in the same, like in a plane accident, you know. So in a plane accident, 200 people die all of a sudden. They all came out with an individual karma, but in the laws of karma phala, it was decided that a single incident should wipe them all out. Yeah. Okay, a little bit out of time. So
this supplemental question.
yeah.
So countries like Tibet that got wiped out overnight. In this example,
Yeah.
supposedly,
Correct.
unless it was the efficiency of the guard, to deal with the karmas of the Tibetan people in one shot, right? Their suffering continues in different forms.
No, this means that they had their karmas were such that they did not take enough precautions to protect their
Self-preservation.
Preservation was not there, which is foolishness in that sense. And the same thing is true for us in Hindus also. We are just too careless, which is a problem. And so we have to suffer because of that. And so that's also part of the karma. Just because you are pure in your thinking and so on, which is good, at least gives you something. But if you don't protect it, don't preserve it, then it gets wiped out. Yeah, absolutely. Good.
Sir, something to share for you. That
Yeah.
the students in the